cloud server. Recording now. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Well, so it's not in the history books, all this poem and all this this debate, and I was being pilloried last time, and I'm still being pilloried, and here I am trying to show you that I'm on your side, all the women. But anyhow, I think that's enough for one poem, because otherwise we'd be short of time. Is there
Can I
anybody
just
who's
say
dying
one-
to say something?
Yeah, can I just say one
Did
thing?
Harbans read this poem? I'm
Sorry?
sorry,
Yes.
I've just joined.
Uh-huh.
So was this
Yeah.
poem read by Harbans?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Read
All
and
right,
written.
thanks.
Can I
Welcome,
just say
Vinay.
something?
Yeah, hi, thanks. Hi, everyone. Yes,
Harbans,
Chitra?
can I just say something?
Chitra, bolo, bolo.
Yeah, the sarcasm isn't coming through. If it was meant to be sarcastic, it isn't coming through. It isn't, evident when you read the poem. It really looks very anti-women. That's what I wanted to say. Maybe at
I
the
think
end
if you read
added
it slowly,
lines.
it's delicate. It's not too heavy. The sarcasm is light. It's in there. Welcome, my friends, to a woman's world. Is the punchline is you idiot?
Okay, if that's what you meant, all right.
Yes.
You should have added "you idiot" at the end.
Well, that's for you to. That's for us to add. You see, that's the point of the poem. Anyhow, I've tried to make up with the ladies, but I think I'll now let the ladies have their say. And where are we? I'll give you a next poem in just a minute now. Sanjeev, are you ready? Have you had your dinner?
I have had my dinner. Now I need to be visible, I suppose.
Yes.
But I need to find my poem. But I guess you will share it anyway.
I'm going to send it to you right now. It's coming right now.
While we are waiting for the poem, we can say hi to Pinky. She just joined. And Pinky, I'll send you the poem. Okay.
Hi, Pinky.
Hi.
I can't see her.
Hi.
She's
I
there.
can't
She's right there.
Ah.
Hello, move yours to the next screen.
Kum Kum. Kum Kum. You could say hi to me too.
Hi, Kiran.
Hi, Kiran.
Hi, Kiran. Yeah, I said hi to you. I said hi to you.
Hello, Kiran.
You know,
Hi,
you were messing
Kiran.
around with
I
your
said hi.
headphones.
Hi.
Okay, here's Pinky. Hi, Pinky.
Hi, Smita.
I can't see.
Hello,
Oh, hi,
hi.
Pinky. Now I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. Have we had a read? Have we had a read?
I have got the poem.
Why do we?
Pinky, I
Why do
just
we
sent
need
it
to
to you.
read? Why do we need to read it before?
These poems are not too difficult, but some poems you need the text to understand it. But you may not wish to read it if you think
I
you'll
wish to
follow
hear
it.
it. I wish to hear it.
You can hear it and then follow it as
Yeah.
the poem is being read.
Yeah.
Okay, away you go, Sanjeev.
Okay. Yeah. All right. It's another short poem. It was actually submitted for last month, but I couldn't attend. So it's perhaps a little out of context, but let's go. Nothing gold can stay. That's the name of the poem. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. That's it?
That's it. I don't think it even needs a second reading. People have it in front of them. And would anybody like to summarize or to paraphrase or to go straight to a different point in the poem?
Well, this is about the orange hour in the morning when when the dawn's broken and the leaves are bathed in the color orange, and the briefness of it all, I guess.
Gardener Rahul Ji, thank you. You got the point there. But beyond that, what is being said? What is being said beyond the
Yes,
nature?
so for the beyond there is the yes.
You made your gardening point, but what's the philosophical point?
Yes, philosophical thing is nothing good can stay forever. Nothing good stays for any length of time. Beauty is very short-lived. Wealth is short-lived.
Right, Vivek, you're dying to go.
No, I'm not dying.
Oh,
Sorry.
May I?
Yeah, no, so basically all that I think Rahul just said towards the end is exactly what I feel. And it's not really anything good or bad, which is not permanent. It's like everything in life is so impermanent, whether it's gold or silver or copper or banana, anything. So I think it's very much like, it's an unsaid truth that all of us will we also go back into dust ultimately, right? But
Vivek, no, there is a point there that nothing gold can stay. It does make that point that things that shine, that are nice, that are wonderful, don't last too long. It doesn't say unhappiness is also going to stay, or boring things also remain boring, or don't become exciting all of a sudden. It's talking about gold versus other things. It's a point, because the philosophical point is that good things don't stay forever.
Maybe not just good, but things like fame or fortune or,
Right.
extra sort of gold as such.
Correct.
And at that time, they may entice you and you feel that they're, forever kind of thing. And then they just go.
Indeed. Amrita, you were trying to say? Amrita ji?
There's
Hello,
some
Amrita.
There's some background noise.
Somebody's mic is...
Somebody's got a TV on.
Uh-huh.
Now it's gone.
Anybody else who wants to have a go before we ask Sanjeev to give us his point of view and why he was asking us to share this poem?
Harbans, I just remembered you did not say who the poet for your poem was.
I'll send it to you in writing, and we'll talk about that in between next poem and this poem. We won't break into this poem right now, but thank you. You're right, Amrita, I forgot. Sanjeev, give us some philosophy.
Well, I guess it's crisp, so it probably doesn't need much explanation. I mean, if you just read it slowly,
absolutely,
it's very clear. And I think everyone's picked it up, both metaphorically as well as physically. It's about everything is transitional. I mean, there's no permanence. And whether it's light on the dawn to day, whether it's a leaf that subsides into leaf from from alive to a dead leaf, or the Garden of Eden that sank to grief from being a beautiful place. It's essentially talking about the basic law, immutable law of nature, right? Change. So change is constant and change is inevitable. And it talks about it all being just an hour, but it really, I mean, that's just a sense of time. I think it's a 100-year-old poem. It's beautiful when I saw it. I think if there's only one thing you need to know in life, I mean, you can read everything. This is all you need to know.
Good point. Just know that you might topple at any time.
Well, it's not, I wouldn't see it because that's like a negative feeling. I mean, change should be embraced. I mean, you shouldn't see change as necessarily negative. And though it does say nothing gold can stay, and that's the play, and the word gold and gold being precious or being But it's a barbaric relic, and it's just a term. I think the real thing is about change, and just try to pick it up in various aspects.
Allow me to.
I don't think. Sure. Go ahead.
When I said it's a good point when you said. My reading of this is don't try to be golden, don't try to be shining, be boring, be unshining, don't be gold, silver, try to be somewhere near lead, and you might not turn, you might not go backwards.
I think that's very cynical.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I think that's very cynical.
I
I'm
wouldn't
sorry.
agree with it. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that actually, honestly.
I have
Not
an
the way I
added
read it.
perspective. I feel like when they're saying that, it's just this moment and you've got this moment, they're also talking about the frailty of the moment. And in that, to be able to recognize the moment for itself, it may fall off, but you have it right now and only right now. Maybe that's also something they're looking at.
Enjoy the gold as it is.
Yeah, cherish the moment. Exactly their point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And recognize the frailty of it all. I mean, the transience or whatever. And that's really it. And it's a natural state of being, meaning this is how it is. It is what it is, as my president says.
Yes. Sanjeev, thank you very much. And we'll let you tell us the name of the author. Send it to us in writing on the WhatsApp, because that way we can look up the name and so on.
I'll be delighted to do it, but this is such a famous poet that everybody who has had to reach a fork in the road will know about it. It's Robert Frost.
Yes. Okay, yes. Lovely. Well, maybe we don't need it in writing then. But the poem that I sent you, I will send you her name in writing. It's by a lady poet who used to be in our poetry circle here in Paris. And she started as a housewife, and then she grew and grew and grew. And now she's a famous poet in England. And she wrote this poem here when she was bringing up 2 kids and being very mundane and so on. And this was a startling poem when it was read out to us in our poetry circle. But I will send you her name. She's called Reshma Ruiya, an Indian lady who lives in England. I'll send you her name. She's now published a couple of books, and very fine books they are too. I'll send you that name shortly. But now we must move on to our next poem, which was submitted by Kumkum, and it's pertinent to what we just talked about in some kind of way, and you'll see in a minute yourselves. Okay, it's gone out to you. It doesn't seem to have a title, so the first line is the title. But this does need reading for a few minutes amongst yourselves on your own before you can start talking about it. It's quite a deep poem.
Let me know when I should read it, Harbans.
I think I've just reread it and I'm still 3/4 of the way. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so the title of the poem is, it's sort of an anthology by this poet on life. And it's poem number 23, I think. And I'll read it now. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and so must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
Almost worth repeating one more time, please, Kumkum.
Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and so must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
We have a dog making an opinion about this Hope poem. Who wants to go first? Anybody has an opinion on this whole thing?
To me, it was one of the most emotional statements by a poet. And I think it resonates very deeply with me, but I think it must resonate with all of us. Hope is something that keeps us going. And without hope, life would be impossible. So for me, it was very deep and very moving.
We agree there with you, Shiv. This poem is about...
This is my husband's computer, sorry. I'm Kiran.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Kiran. I'm sorry. Kiran Tandon. Sorry.
Yes.
Kiran Tandon. Forgive me. I'm reading out from the screen. We don't know each other well enough.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I think you said the right thing there. It's the subject of subjects. Hope and despair. Happiness and sadness. Feeling good and feeling down. This is what this poem is talking about, and it's the number one subject of life. And here a poet is giving us an idea of what hope is made of. And so what is hope made of? It's talking about a bird, but obviously it's not a real bird it's talking about. What is this? What is the stuff of hope? Anybody?
So hope is it's like an energy which comes in when your times are the toughest and when everything else is going and falling apart and you have no idea what is going to happen. That's when it comes in. But the most important thing about this poem, I feel, are the last lines which say that it does not actually show you what it is. I mean, it's not going to be right there up in front, and it's not going to glamorize itself, but it will be there when you need it. And it's somewhere, it's almost like a parallel is being drawn to a lifelong companion friend who stays in the shadows and only comes out when most needed.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't ask anything in return.
Yeah.
Yes, nothing.
So it's a pure gift. It's a pure gift. But what is it? What is it? The poem is telling us textually, it's the tune. It's the tune without the words. It's a musical phenomenon. That's what the poet is teaching us, is showing us. In other words, when we have hope, we have a tinkling music inside us. And that takes us through the day, whatever might come at you, all the events and stuff that come at you, you know you'll make it through because you have a tinkling tune inside your mind. And that's what hope is made of. This is what the poet is textually telling us. And so the next question becomes, what is this tune of? Where is this tune coming from?
Perhaps from the heart.
Rahul.
Yeah, and it's also been compared to a bird. It is a thing with feathers. It lightens you. It perches in the soul. It's somewhere in the soul. So it comes from the heart and the soul.
Yes.
And it is everywhere. It is in the strangest of places. It is in the storm. It is in the everywhere where you'd be ever in your life.
It'll stay with you. It's not outside. It's inside you in any storm. Yeah.
The driving force of our lives.
Yeah. In the hardest times, if you have hope, it'll be there with you and take you through.
Yes.
So
that's a lovely poem. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I've read this poem earlier in context of, I mean, she's such a famous poetess, and she's so succinct, and she has this peculiar way of actually writing her poems with a lot of dashes and like punctuation going haywire, which has not really shown up in this particular, the way this has been texted out.
Emily
But yes, absolutely. But one of the most beautiful things about this poem is the resilience and she was actually living in a time where I've read this somewhere now, whether it is true, I guess. She was a lesbian, and like she, obviously at the time she was like, there was no way that like one could come out, out of the closet and, present oneself. So this is a kind of poem that is, I think, a lot about the downtrodden, the kind of people who, I mean, she's writing a lot about, people rising up and like being able to present themselves and being able to share their point of view and somehow the other not really quite being able to do so. So it's like a illusion, this hope that it will happen, but it's a tough call to make when people are not accepting you for, whatever you are. I mean, that's what I remember reading about this somewhere.
I think, Vivek, this is some extra poetic, extra textual interpretation onto the poem. And we can accept it. And you're saying that this was some comment on it. Yeah. But anyway, inside the poem, anybody else got anything to say about this? I have one last thing to say. The tune about which this poem is talking is the tune that we all have inside of us, which takes us through bad times and hard times. And this tune comes from a certain place. It's called Mother's voice. It's called Mother's sweet, delicious voice, her song, her lullabies, her laughter, her company. And this is the force with which we negotiate life, each of us, all of us, our own sweet mother's loving voice, which becomes later, when it's codified into music, and music comes from the sweetness of our mother's voice and the drum of the heartbeat. Rhythm and cadence come from this first encounter with our mother's voice, which actually happens even inside the womb. We hear our own mother's voice right from that time, and it stays with us forever. And this is the nature of this tune. And if we connect with it, we have an ever-present force inside us, which will take us through the chillest land, the greatest storm. It's a huge force which we have available to us if we connect with it, connect with the sweetness of Mummy's voice. That's my take on this. I'll let you think about it, but we'll move on now because we've got more other poems to do.
Okay, so can I just sum it up
Yes,
a
sorry,
little bit?
Kumkum. Yeah.
So this poem is by Emily Dickinson.
That's how I guessed as much. I'm not a poet.
And a couple of things about this poetry circle. I have spent my whole life just reading medical stuff and a few novels here and there and some literature. And then as we started this poetry circle and people read their poems, I have now been able to sit in my couch and order books on Amazon. And I've got a whole collection of poetry books now. And, you know, I've started enjoying them. I have to say that I hardly read poem. You know, if I was able to spend time reading a novel or some medical book most of my life, it was great. So thank you so much. And you gave a long thing about mothers. And I have to tell you, when I read this poem, I felt quite guilty because my 5-year-old daughter, who's now a mother herself, wanted a puppy when she was 5. She had a lot of hope that she would get it. And she would say, oh, I know Santa's going to get me a puppy in a basket. I did not allow that hope to grow. I would say, no, you're not getting a puppy. But I did enjoy reading the poem. And the last line really did touch me, you know, that it asked nothing of me. It asked nothing of me. And all I had to do was just sing along and smile at her. I didn't have to give it to her, but that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumkum. Okay, moving on. Next poem.
But excuse me 1 minute.
Sorry,
Where did you get
Sunita?
this mother's, sorry, but from where did you get this mother's thing? That's just your feeling? Or is there something in the poem which is indicating that?
This is Mr. Harbans Nagpal.
I think his own thing.
Yeah.
Menika, have I missed something?
I thought I was missing something also. And my question was, does everybody agree with what he's saying?
No, I let you think about it. I didn't say this was written in stone. It's a theory. It's a hypothesis. It's my take as a psychoanalyst. Yes, it's my psychoanalytic point of view.
Okay. And in any case, anyone can interpret a poem however they like.
Salam.
It made me think more about nature than about my mother.
Yeah.
About everything.
Yes, it's not in the poem, this idea, these ideas. It comes from the point is the nature of music. My thesis is on the nature and origin of music and a tune. And the fact that the tune we carry inside us comes from somewhere. And it's that somewhere that I was hypothesizing.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, next poem. Vinay Tuli, we missed your poem a couple of times, so please be ready to.
Harbans, I wish you had told me before.
Oh.
I'm not prepared with my poem. Well, you could send it to me and I'll read because I don't have it handy at the moment.
No, I'm going to send it to everybody right now.
Please do. Thank you.
Okay, it's gone.
How's the dinner? Huh? Have you eaten?
Please tell me when I
Put
can
yourself
read.
on mute. Yeah.
Should I read?
If everybody is happy, we can start now. Yes?
No, just wait a second more.
Yeah, it's a difficult poem.
Okay, read.
Should I go ahead?
Yeah, you'll have to take us through, Vinay, okay? Because people won't have gotten it all. You'll have to later
Okay, here goes.
Explain, yeah.
Dance in my fire. It rages like none before. It neither consumes nor gives a rebirth, immersing my being, not just testing with a toe. It is intense, confirming, conforming, shaping my being, my soul, my reality. Layers upon layers, some cosmetic, others needed to hide the core. Burning and turning in that fire before, my own, my very own strength that so frightens me.
May I ask you to read it again, please?
Yes, please.
Sure. I hope I can get the nuances again. Well, anyway, here goes. Dance, dance in my fire. It rages like none before. It neither consumes nor gives a rebirth, immersing my being, not just testing with a toe. It is intense, confirming, conforming, shaping my being, my soul, my reality. Layers upon layers, some cosmetic, others needed to hide the core. Burning and turning in that fire before my own, my very own strength that so frightens me.
So what are we getting here? We're getting a description of an inner fire that's burning the speaker of the poem. And we don't know exactly what it is, but we're getting a description of its force, of its all-consuming power inside the person. And the question becomes,
Yes,
what is
also,
this?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Also, please go on.
Amrita?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to your point. One of the main things which comes out of this is the fact that there is a potential which we're talking about, but the potential is yet to be unleashed. It's almost like the person's scared to unleash all of that. You know, it's a really a raging fire. Of course, it's not consuming anything, or it's not, it is what it is. But within it, it has so much power, which the person who has that power also is afraid to touch it, but is like asking everyone else to actually be with it.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds like sheer joy of life. Life force, just, and the sheer joy of it, reveling in it.
Sounds a little bit more frightening than joy.
Yeah, it doesn't feel joyous at all.
But it has this word dance in my fire in the title.
It seems joyous to me because, I mean, it's so powerful.
It's
so it
very
may be
powerful,
burning, but it's so alive, and
yeah, but
it's just filling up your soul.
Yeah, it's strength, but it is all consuming. So, but it doesn't feel joyous to me. Sorry.
It's all consuming because it's all alive.
Yeah,
kind of.
Many things which are all consuming and alive are not joyous. I think we all probably have been through that in life.
That's okay. We can all have a different opinions, right?
Yeah.
No,
Of
no.
course.
No, my opinion is the right one. and since Harbans is wearing a berry, I'll go get my berry.
But
So
let's
this is
carry on.
Raj.
We don't have too much time. Anybody else want to have an opinion on this, wants to give us an opinion on this?
I was intrigued by the very last line about frightens me. And so about joy, happiness, and everything. The thing is, for the protagonist, the issue here is about some sort of insecurity about their own inner power.
That's true.
And it's the intensity, but also
frightening.
It's the words like rage. It's not. I don't see the word comfort. I see a sort of
There's no
Sorry?
comfort in it.
Yes. So the interesting thing, and that's not right or wrong, but what I'm saying is it actually is exactly that. It is a discomfort of the power. It's almost like one of the Hindu goddesses. Doesn't know what intensity they have, and if they look at someone, they could perish or just burn to death. So you have to be careful of what power you have, or it could be for a femme fatale in a different context. Since we started off on that basis in the poetry, in the first part about this being a feminist
No.
thing. No, I'm just this is a little
No,
tongue
that's
in,
okay, Sanjeev. I'm
little
enjoying
tongue in
that.
cheek, Vinay. You
No,
know
I'm
me.
enjoying it. I'm enjoying
And
that part.
so I think what I really liked was the talk about the layering being cosmetic or needing to hide the core. And the interesting thing is, you think about cosmetic and you think about beauty, and in another way you can think about is it's actually to make things opaque, and it's not about beauty, it's about sort of a disguise because of the inner core. So but I thought it was a very intense and moreover fine poem.
Okay, Vinay, give us your conclusions or your thoughts.
Okay, so my
And the
conclusion is that the
author?
last line is the most important one, which says that my very own strength frightens me. So this is about a person who has gone through a heck of a lot in her life. It is about a woman. She's gone through a lot in her life, as have all of us for that matter. And she has hidden it many a time under a layer of cosmetic or a layer of bravado. But she has kept that fire hidden, that strength, that very inner strength of hers. And she's, as I said, gone through. It's a test of fire. Like, I won't say like Sita, but like Sanjeev said, goddesses. The goddesses can unleash a lot, but they also hide a lot. They also show their calmness, So this person is hiding and showing her calmness amidst all the fire that is raging around her. And yet she knows she's going to come out of it all fine. She's testing it. She can't test it with her toe, much as she wants, but she's going to come out of it because she has so much strength that there's no other conclusion. She just will be forged by fire. And the poem has been written by me. I'm the author.
I could guess
and
that.
Loved all your opinions.
Well, thank you, Vinay ji. It's an intense poem, and it speaks something of torment, fire, and we're grateful for you to share it with us. Thank you.
Thank you ever so much, everybody. It's so nice of you to have given it time. Very nice.
Thanks, Vinay. And you have your weekly job to perform.
Yeah,
which
I've
is
done once.
basically take a screenshot of everybody here.
Yep.
Everybody look into the camera, smile for
good.
your friends.
Look
This is
good.
all coming on the OS website.
Hold on
Kumkum,
a
you need to
second.
come up a little bit. Lift
Yes,
yourself up a
Kumkum,
little
straighten
bit.
up.
Okay, let's see anybody else who's not in the right position. Raj, you need to go a little bit back. Okay,
Kavita,
and
you
who's
also
this?
need to sit up a
Kavita,
little
can I
bit.
request you also to come up a little bit?
Kavita, just sit up a
Yeah.
little bit.
Sit up a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Who else? Okay, I think we're ready. Okay, go ahead, Madam Vinay.
I'm going to publish the next poem now, please. Okay,
Wait.
moving on.
And can we all say hello to Raj? He just showed up. He was late.
Raj, he's been there for a few minutes now. He's been here for a little while.
Did you have to bring that up, Kumkum?
Well, I
Did you have to bring that up?
missed the reading because I was busy sending him the password, etc., etc. He called me.
Because I looked in the email and I tried it from the email and it didn't.
That's okay. Sorry, I'm just
maybe I
teasing.
missed the right email. Who knows? I'm sorry.
No need to be sorry.
I'll try not to let it happen again.
6, 9.
Okay, the next poem has come to you now by WhatsApp, and we're going to ask Amrita to read it to us after we read ourselves, because it's another quite a difficult poem, quite a serious poem.
Thank you.
I'm just going to be absent for a minute while everybody reads the poem.
I love the lines. The other hides under the shadows and draws the swords for fun. Wow.
When did it start actually, this session?
9:30 as usual.
We had a time change, see, so on November 1st.
Oh, yes, of course.
See, that's one of the reasons. Though on mine, so I put in the world clock, and the world clock at New Delhi says that the time now, where's the world clock? It's 10:33. That correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
We'll wait
10:33.
for.
And it's 9 here. Oh my God! I was supposed
to start.
So it's supposed to start at what? 9 o'clock?
Should we wait for Harbans to come back and then start?
No, but where are you located, Raj, currently?
I'm in San Francisco, near San Francisco.
Okay, so we need to check that time. Yeah.
No. So basically, my time now is 9 o'clock. So how long has this been going on? How long has this been going on?
Exactly an hour.
Raj, it was 8 a.m. your time. I sent you a message.
Oh, I was
You may have missed
asleep.
it.
I was asleep. I only get up at 8:15. See, I was fast asleep.
Sorry.
8 o'clock is too early in the morning for me. Come on.
Oh, come on.
This is, we are not in Sanar anymore, right?
Well, it's close.
Try to wake me up at 5:45. Forget it.
That was
I
6
agree,
a.m.
Rajan. I'm a late sleeper and a late waker as well. I don't
Yeah.
get up till after 9.
I get up at 9:30. I can't wake up before that.
Me too.
I go for a walk at 7 in the morning.
Wow.
Too much work.
Every morning.
Should we start, Harbans?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Amrita,
okay.
do you want to
may I?
go? Yes,
Okay.
please start.
The poem is titled Bloom. There is the law of karma. There is no sin, even if you like every rose that has its thorn. Do unto others as you would have done to you. The thorn is the thorn, for it is there jealously thinking it owns the rose. From greedy, lecherous eyes that pluck the flower, it runs its claws and rips the hand that holds. Even though the journey may start and end with the rose, it is its companion and gets the fate it does for the way it grows. One gives hope and beauty and rest. The other draws blood in zest. One looks out to the sun. The other hides under the shadows and draws swords for fun. One day they both will be undone. One will be hated for its hate. The other loved for its unconditional love. And that is fate.
One more time, please. One more time.
Bloom. There is the law of karma. There is no sin, even if you like every rose that has its thorn. Do unto others as you would have done to you. The thorn is the thorn, for it is there jealously thinking it owns the rose. From greedy, lecherous eyes that pluck the flower, it runs its claws and rips the hand that holds. Even though the journey may start and end with the rose, it is its companion and gets the fate it does for the way it grows. One gives hope and beauty and rest, the other draws blood in zest. One looks out to the sun, the other hides under the shadows and draws swords for fun. One day they both will be undone. One will be hated for its hate, the other loved for its unconditional love, and that is fate.
Wow. May I?
Indeed. Go ahead. Who's this?
Dion.
Hello, Dion. Yeah.
I love the poem. I think the imagery used, it's very well done, right? Like you can literally, it's simple and it's clear, and I love the connection. Like we are the rose, you know, each one of us are the rose, and we have a good side to us and we have a bad side to ourselves as well. In somebody's story, we are the upper half of the rose, and in somebody's story, we are the thorns of their lives. And it's very well crafted how it all is, you know, intertwined and everything. And yeah, I think I needed a minute before I started speaking, but then it's an amazing poem. Thank you, Amrita.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I think Dion summarized the point. It's a very clever philosophical poem that leaves you quite stunned. It's a dazzling, logical, and philosophical poem. But the bottom line is that we all meet roses and we all meet thorns, and life is both of these things, and you have to take them as they come, and there's no getting away from it. There's no solution. There's no good or bad. That's how it is. And it gives you this in this very stylish way. It's winning. It's charming to be completely overwhelmed by the flow of arguments in the poem. That's how I would say.
Thank you.
It's about, I think it's about integrating the good and bad, the opposites.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and may I also, okay.
Yes, so this is what life is. This is what everything that we encounter is. It's good and bad. There's nothing that is purely good. There's nothing that's purely bad. There's an element of both in everything, good and bad. So I think this poem very beautifully describes it in the way it's described, the rose and the thorn.
Right. And may I also add, you know, like Amrita told us that the poem demands that there's a connection, there's a reliability between the rose and the thorns itself, right? And if you think about it, you know, it makes me think about how we as a person, we all are good inside, right? But at moments we have to let our thorns out to actually survive. And are you with me, right? Because you can't be good all the time.
No, speak for yourself. I'm not all good inside.
You're all bad. Raj, you're all bad, right?
You know, but even as I perceive that in the choice of words, it is very obvious that the rose is obviously given far more importance than the thorn, in the sense that there are these beautiful, you know, words that are associated with the bloom, the very fact that I think even the title and the thorn is always looked upon as drawing daggers and drawing blood and being, you know, zesty and sharp and whatever. So obviously, I think for all of us, I think the truth is that, yes, it's the goodness that ultimately we're all looking for. I mean, which is paramount, or like, let's say that what we ideally would like to see in one another, much more than the thorn.
But the thorn is very important as being the protector, as being the protector of that delicacy, the beauty, the inner strength.
Exactly.
So do you think that this thing is also there, that when they talk about fate and karma and all that, so it's like your fate is that you're born as a rose or you're born as a thorn, And so you play out that role.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the role you play. And then this is what you get back. And that's how it is.
I
That's
don't
fate.
think that. I
They
don't
go
think people
together,
are born as
Sunita.
thorns.
They go together. The point about the poem is that the thorn and the rose go
That's
together
it.
in
That's
life,
it.
and
Yeah,
Yin and
karma.
yang.
companions for
Okay,
life.
so even in that
Yin
And the
and
context,
yang.
one is given the role of the rose and one is given the role of the thorn. And so
Yeah.
that's your fate is sealed,
No.
what you're going to get.
And
No,
Maybe
Like
it
a
will
yin
be-
Oh
yang.
no,
don't.
no, no,
I
no.
don't buy
No,
that.
no, I
No, it
don't
says
that.
it
No.
says
Okay,
we
one
all have.
person.
Okay,
yeah,
Quiet,
Kind
quiet,
of.
quiet. Order. One person at a time.
Mute
okay,
myself.
I'm
Right.
going.
Madame
It's
Nader.
yes, it says that all of us have the rose and the thorn in our lives in one way or another, and we have to learn to tackle with them, and that's how we get our karma and our fate. We don't get, not that everybody gets only roses and the other people get only thorns.
Exactly.
We all have an intermix of the rose and the thorn, and how we navigate it is what our fate is.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's the core of the poem.
I'm so
And,
glad.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad that was well
and
explained.
you need the bad to appreciate the good.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah,
Always.
they're
The
just
thorn.
different forms of love. So there is this one line which talks of, the thorn is the thorn, for it is there jealously thinking it owns the rose. From greedy, lecherous eyes that pluck the flower, it runs its claws and rips the hand that holds. But what it's talking about is a different form of love, which is maybe a baser level of love. But there is that thing, the protection and the love is there, as much as the unconditional love of the rose is. But the nature of how you deal with things is going to determine how you're looked at and how you're immortalized.
Absolutely. Yep.
So could
That's
could
very
the
deep.
rose,
Yeah.
could the rose
Raj, go on, Raj Bolo.
I forgot already. See, it's just old age sadness.
Don't talk about
What
old
happened to
age,
your
Raj, not
berry?
allowed.
My question is, how long would the rose last without the thorn?
It does talk of companionship for life. Both of them depend on each other. The
Because
thorn without
Good
the rose would
point.
be nothing. The rose without the thorn would be nothing.
They make
because
the two parts make a whole.
the thorn is
Yes.
intended to protect the rose. That's
Yes,
the
so
thorn's
it's
job.
talking of that frailty. Yes.
So it has to be
But the
thorny.
nature with which you do it.
Yeah.
So, if one was to put it into contemporary point of view, which I don't think is required, but is merely in jest at the end of the day's session, there's the red state, the rose, and the blue states.
Oh my God.
And
Oh.
so,
No,
Oh
no.
God.
what is
This
a
had to be
rose is a
Sanjeev.
thorn for the other person.
Okay, and you have to really.
One step beyond.
No.
So
Yeah.
there's one line in there which is intriguing, which says, "One day they will both be undone."
Yes.
What does that mean? One day all of this will come to an end.
No more roses
So
and
it is
thorns.
also about, you're sitting in roles and you have put yourself in boxes and you're working a certain way. But one day what will happen is everything will come back to square one. It is not saying that everything dies or everything lives. It just says that all those roles, all those things of taking yourself seriously in various angles, everything will go one day. And at that point of time, when the judgment happens, it will be judged on the basis of how, with the same kind of energy, how you worked your actions. So it talks about the cycles of karma, it talks about relationships, it talks about unconditional love, and it also talks about the fact that there should be compassion with the thorn as much as there is with the rose.
Should we call the Four Seasons Landscaping Society at that point?
All right.
What?
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Amrita, for a lovely poem. Would you like to announce who wrote the poem so that we can thank the person?
Yes, I wrote the poem.
Did you?
Oh.
Excellent, Amrita.
Lovely, lovely,
Very
Well
lovely,
done,
Very
Amrita.
nice.
Wonderful.
Lovely.
Well done.
lovely. Excellent,
Beautiful.
excellent. Really a fine poem. Really a fine poem. Okay, moving on now. Vivek, are you ready for your tree poem?
Unmute, Vivek, unmute.
Has Harbansi, have you sent it?
I'm sending it right now, and you are going to recite it after giving people just a minute to scan through it.
Shoot.
Okay, one cursory look, and now we'll follow the poem with you, Vivek.
Sure. When I am among the trees, when I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly, and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine.
Lovely. One more time, please.
It's a lovely poem.
When I am among the trees, when I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I'm so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine.
Should I say something? May I?
Please, who would like to go first?
It's Dion again.
Sure.
I really fell in love with the poem when we reached the third stanza about the tree and the leaves. And it was very symbolic to what we are today. You know, humans, we never stop. We're always in a rush to do this and that. And so that when the tree tells you to, just stay still, there's this beauty in stillness, to just stay still and calm down and just let the light shine upon you for just one moment there, just like the tree, a tree never rushes around here and there, it just stays there under the universe. So I took that message from it, to remind us humans as well, to stay still for a moment and enjoy, watch the leaves and watch the light come out from those leaves. It's beautiful. Thank you, sir. It's an amazing poem.
For all of us, I don't know, I just want to butt in here. Whoever, did you all collect pine cones in Sanar?
Yes.
Yes.
So do you remember the wind blowing through the pines, and then the way the sun would filter through those trees and fall on this? It was just all so beautiful.
I remember something else.
It reminded me of Sanar immediately.
I remember something else, rolling down the cud after pine cone.
Why? Why did you
rolling
do that,
down, slipping and rolling down, and then having to climb up. I mean, I wasn't particularly coordinated as a.
Those dry pine needles, I guess, right?
That's what life is all about. You roll down and then you climb and claw your way back up again.
Wow.
I did that a couple of weeks ago too.
Oh no.
For sure, Sanar, one of the great attachments we have for Sanar are the pine trees and the forests and the nature around us. It's a big part of our love for our school. And this is a tree poem, and we're all tree huggers here. But can we get anything more out of this poem, apart from our praise of trees and how lovely they are?
Well, actually, it's part of that. I walk every morning in the park for an hour, and the trees, the leaves, it brings me the oxygen, it clears my mind, and the breeze rustling through, and the birds tweeting from the trees. It is truly, it centers me, it focuses me, and just makes me ready to face the rest of the world or for the rest of the day. So the trees, it's really resonated with me because
they really give you strength.
Yes,
they give you that
absolutely.
feeling of permanence and strength.
Yes, it centers me. I mean, I'm off in the morning on my own. I say my malas, I say my prayers, and it's all sort of, around in the park, and it's beautiful. It sort of works.
Anybody else wants to have a go?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this, is it the second stanza? I'm so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment.
You're wondering about the grammar. You're wondering about the syntax.
No, I'm not wondering so much about the syntax. I'm just sort of, applying it to myself, how I'm always rushing around and, this and that, and just take it slowly for me, get the lesson from the trees.
It does. It just center yourself and take a breather.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
liked it. It was very beautiful. Thank
It's
you
a
so
very
much.
nice poem. One thing that caught my eye, and it's actually in the same stanza that you discussed right now, is about walking slowly and bowing, to bow often, which is, I'm intrigued by that phrase.
If I can possibly interpret that, I think it is something to do with the fact that our lives are so complexly driven by silly things. Sorry, I shouldn't say silly things, but by stuff like, going through all our cell phones all the time and stuff like that, that somewhere that core of goodness and spirituality, I would almost say, it tends to be very elusive and far away. And I guess walking through the forest or through this avenue full of trees and bowing often is like paying obeisance in a kind of way, I guess.
Gratitude,
Maybe there are two an explanation, two kinds of bowing. Bowing to certain thoughts that I have as I walk through the trees, and bowing to people I cross as I walk through the park or the trees.
Yeah, so the bowing can also be, I bow to the light in others because I'm in touch with the light inside myself and I'm bowing to the light. I mean, So I think this poem is also about meeting myself and looking inwards instead of outwards, and to stop, and you need to stop, and then only you can do it, not if you're rushing around, something like that.
Yep.
I thought the poem is also about connecting with oneself, with nature. It is about slowing down. It is about finding the pace, the right pace, I guess. And connect. Yes.
Well, trees have this wonderful soothing effect on us. Vivek, would you like to close by telling us the name of the poet and so on?
Yes, the lady who's written this is the famous Mary Oliver. She's a Pulitzer Prize winner and she's won the National Book Award, and very, very centered around nature and very common things around us. Very simple, she writes. But actually, even in this particular poem, at least I know there is all this beauty about and the calmness that trees bring to our life. And as someone said, they centered her. And yes, all of that. But I think even beyond that, there is this, like that particular one, well, just a second, there was that phrase, I think towards the end, which was, to have come to something about, I think now I've just missed it. Something about, you just don't look at the leaves. It's like the leaves themselves have a much deeper story to tell than just the fact that they belong to the tree. That through the leaves, you can actually reach to the inner part of, the soul of the tree, the bark and the plasma or whatever it grows inside there. There's like a deeper, there's the poet's, I think, intense need to look much deeper than just the beauty that what the trees convey. That's what I thought.
The nice line in there which says, the trees, they give off such hints of gladness. That's a lovely line. Gladness, the trees emanate gladness. Now, where does that come from? It's worth thinking about. But we can't go on. Let's move on now to the next poem. And time is now, we're at limit time for official time. And if anybody wants to leave right now, I will give you a chance before we go to the next poem, because I know that some people have to go home, go to bed, have other commitments. So 1 hour and a half is plenty of poetry for most people. And if anybody would like to leave now, we'll bid you good night or goodbye. Is there anybody, or have people already left who wanted to go? Otherwise, we'll go on for another 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm falling asleep, but I don't want to go.
I'm staying too.
How many more poems do you have? How many more poems do you have?
2 or 3 poems. We have 1, 2 longish poems. 2 longish poems.
It's a very long session today, I must say.
Oh, no, not longer than usual.
Not really. It's 11 now. So we've been there 1.5 hours.
That's a normal time.
No. Well, I mean, we've got 3 more poems and long ones to go. That's what I'm talking about. Not already consumed.
Well, they're not so long. They're not so long. I'll give you. I'll give you the shorter of the 2 straight away, and here we come. It's another gardening poem. We have a lot of gardeners in our midst. And it's a poem by Rahul, or submitted by Rahul, and it's come to you right now. Take a look, and then we'll let Rahul take us through.
Should I read?
Has everybody had at least a cursory look?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Class struggle. Set the topsoil to the layer below. The plow never turned you, nor has the first shower made you fragrant. You know not the pleasure of riding storms, oblivious to light, tempests, rain. You lie buried in deep slumber. Replied the subsoil, rootless vagabonds scarcely appreciate the joy of being still and supporting, nourishing all that lies above. Vegetation, homes, cities, roads, and you as well, my friend.
One more time and then we'll talk.
All right, so class struggle. Set the topsoil to the layer below. The plow never turned you, nor has the first shower made you free. You know not the pleasure of riding storms, oblivious to light, tempests, rain. You lie buried in deep slumber. Replied the subsoil, rootless vagabonds scarcely appreciate the joy of being still and supporting, nourishing all that lies above. Vegetation, homes, cities, roads, and you as well, my friend.
I want to say something.
Yes, Kumkum.
I thought it was very clever because you as well, my friend, I take it to the subsoil, telling the topsoil that you lay buried too, because you don't appreciate what I do. And I thought that was very clever. And of course, very appropriate for people who are deeper and other people who are more superficial. Very nice. Thank you.
For me, I was really thinking simultaneously while I was reading this, that this is so similar to what Amrita was trying to say. You know, two systems existing simultaneously in juxtaposition, having their own issues. I like that.
Which is the
But
thorn
where,
and which is the
but where
rose?
is the thorn?
Which is
said that
the
he
thorn?
owned he felt he owned
Figure it out, Raj. I have no clue. They're all there for one another.
No, in this case.
Yeah, and I think it took me back to economics, the economic systems class, which is about classes and struggle.
Economics 101. Huh?
Well, economics 101 is too much micro, but this is like economics 501. But, so really, it's not quite breaking it down to the 1%ers and the 99, but in a way it is. The subsoil tends to be much larger than the topsoil. So it's the 199 break. And the issues that it sort of raises are also somewhat social issues that are being raised in the body. So I saw it more of as a political analysis also, in a manner of speaking, very topical, so to speak.
And it's called
yes,
class struggle.
It's in favor of looking at the deeper soil, the deeper level of everything. There's a superficial level and there's a deeper level, and the deeper level has the last word. That's the message of the poem.
And of course, the
Also,
deeper level is very quiet and the top level is flamboyant.
Also, it talks about the class struggle. That's the heading of the poem.
Yeah, it's called class struggle also. Yeah.
The topsoil is too proud of
obviously leads you there. It leads you into the class part of it. That there's a top layer and there's a lower and maybe even a lower layer than that.
I think also the topsoil is very proud and he thinks the subsoil is below him. But each one has its place and importance in society or in life, in nature.
And it says the first shower made you fragrant. So if the topsoil just wants to be fragrant, wants to be everything, the lower is oblivious to light.
I think there's an interconnection between the two, which they fail to recognize, and through this conversation, they seem to kind of come together on that, knowing that whatever the policies in their heads were for the topsoil and the bottom, that actually at the end of it, they need each other. There's a relationship between each other which won't go, even if they try.
So it's a social democratic poem that says, don't have class struggle, cooperate between each other. It's kind of Labour Party politics.
But the top layer is not even acknowledging that the lower layer has anything to do with
yes,
it.
and
It's not giving him any credit.
there's no relevance of the lower layer.
Yeah, the top layer is taking all the credit.
Yeah. So it's the lower layer that's giving a lesson to the upper layer. You too, my friend,
But
you need
it's
me.
like, one word from on the truth of things, and 100 words said it flamboyant language. The one word of truth actually weighs more from the the soil which is underneath the topsoil. So I mean, it is there. He's not he knows the facts, so he doesn't have to run around and speak them out loud.
Only thing, it's the subsoil is a little abusive by calling the topsoil rootless vagabond, which is not very seemly.
Yeah.
I think the subsoil
Yeah,
was little peaked with the arrogance of the topsoil.
Yeah, exactly.
Throwing so many adjectives at it.
The topsoil starts off by lagawing to the lower one, no? You are useless, you don't do this, you don't do that. So now what is there? He just got it back.
Yeah, it's a retort, it's a reply. So it's artistic, poetic license to make the poem fit. Rahul, close with the author's name and thank the author for us.
Not me. Not me.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so this poem was written by me. I'm the poet.
Oh,
Wonderful, wonderful.
Wow.
Félicia, je suis occupé. Vous venez demain ou pas?
Oui, je viens et je m'appelle pour le frigo, étendre.
Ah oui, d'accord, très bien. Je ferai ça ce soir. Ok, merci.
À zéro.
Au revoir, oui. Sorry.
We are very impressed with your French, Harbans.
I tell you.
So the gardener poet amongst us gave us a very fine take on life and politics through his gardening angle. Thank you very much indeed, Rahul. That was a lovely poem.
Rahul, that was very nice. Lovely poem.
Yeah, that was a wonderful one.
You have to write a letter.
Very
I'm
clever.
heading into the garden tomorrow, Rahul. I'm heading into my little garden tomorrow.
We're going to talk to the lower soil. We're going to dig up the lower soil.
Last week I was preparing one of my fields and we used the subsoiler, an equipment called the subsoiler, which brings the subsoil on the top, digs into the subsoil. So while driving the tractor, I started thinking, and this is what I came up with.
Ah! Lovely, lovely.
The soil hasn't seen the light of the day. It has never been exposed to the sun. It has never seen the storms. Now it's come on the top. Now it's going to misbehave again.
Sorry, just a small comment, Rahul. So you're more of a carrots, radish, ginger type of guy, I see.
Oh gosh.
AG, next poem has come to you. And Raj, where are you? Where are you, Raj? Here. Raj, it's your poem, but it's a long poem, so it needs reading, and then you can take us through.
I'm back.
All right, ready?
Hi, Anita. Anita went to feed her father, and she wanted to send a message that she wasn't being rude. And I sent her a message. You would never think that.
Kumkum, he's 105 years old.
Oh,
That's so
wow.
great.
Welcome back.
Yeah, and he has no timings. It's got to be any time. Sometimes he even eats at 2 o'clock at night. He's just like a baby.
Ready?
1 second.
Sure.
Very lovely, lovely poem.
Okay, I've had just a quick read, but it needs a more careful read. But we'll read with you as you go along, Raj.
Sure. Fathers, mothers in their conceit cry, ours is the travail of delivery, our nature is lifelong nurture, what do men care? Generations of forefathers are all irrelevant figureheads. Does an infant come forth a full-fledged person? A father's tender loving care, disguised but ever present, patient, effort, time, firmness, lead the faltering steps forward. Ask what the travails of fatherhood are, and I will reveal as much as I can. The wounds are private, you shall not see the bleeding of my heart. The vigil before my son's birth was spent in the darkness outside, tremulous yet grasping towards hope. Then afternoon and the birthing cry. I wanted to see him. Oh, how I wanted to see him. I climbed onto a chair and looked. He reached out his little fist and grabbed my heart. I was his to the death. Now he is a man and has children of his own, a son and a daughter. Fortunate indeed are fathers of daughters. I am still my son's father. It is the words we do not speak to one another. It is the I love you, Father, yelled in the middle of a storm that frees restraint. It is the caring from breakdown to cure.
Lovely poem.
They were very emotional.
Very
Yeah.
lovely.
Raj,
Really nice. Really
very
nice.
nice.
Raj, are you up to reading it again
Very
one
sad.
more time?
Sure, no problem.
Please.
Fathers, mothers in their conceit cry, ours is the travail of delivery. Our nature is lifelong nurture. What do men care? Generations of forefathers are all irrelevant figureheads. Does an infant come forth a full-fledged person? A father's tender loving care, disguised but ever present, patience, effort, time, firmness, lead the faltering steps forward. Ask what the travails of fatherhood are, and I will reveal as much as I can. The wounds are private, you shall not see the bleeding of my heart. The vigil before my son's birth was spent in the darkness outside, tremulous yet grasping towards hope, and then afternoon and the birthing cry. I wanted to see him. Oh, how I wanted to see him. I climbed onto a chair and looked. He reached out his little fist and grabbed my heart. I was his to the death. Now he is a man and has children of his own, a son and a daughter. Fortunate indeed are fathers of daughters. I'm still my son's father. It's the words we do not speak to one another. It's the I love you, Father, yelled in the middle of a storm that frees restraint. It's the caring from breakdown to cure. There you go.
Wonderful.
Okay, now the first thing that we need to crack is it's the caring from breakdown to cure. That punchline has to be understood to make sense of the rest of the poem, which is pretty straightforward. It's the caring from breakdown to cure. Can anybody have a go at that? In fact, the two lines, or even that whole paragraph, it's the words we do not speak to one another. It's the I love you, Father, yelled in the middle of a storm that frees restraint. It's the caring from breakdown to cure.
I think it's talking about social conditioning which does not allow men to be expressive. That's one thing. which disbalances relationships. And the fact that the expression, whether it is from a woman or a man, a father or a mother, the nature of that love is actually the same. The expression may not be as open. And this poem refers to that and the fallacy of the social conditioning which is given to men, whereas they are equally emotional about certain things, and they have an equal involvement with a child in a different way. I think the biggest thing which comes out from this is how society and the way the cultures happen, the micro cultures within families and society. Those are disbalancing what is natural to human beings. That does come out clearly through this, through this poem.
Amrita, you've given us a good explanation of the first three lines of that paragraph. It's the words we do not speak to one another because of society, and it's in the middle of a storm that you can let go of yourself and say, I love you, Father. But it's the caring from breakdown to cure.
May I give it a try, sir? The last
Bolo,
one.
who is this? Who is this?
Dion.
Dion, yep.
Yeah, so I might be totally wrong about it, but what I take from the last line is that, why do you need a cure in the first place? Because something is being diseased, something is dying. So it's like when you have broken down to a point, only then the healing starts. The healing will not start unless you're not wounded. So when you're wounded, only then you will lead to the cure and the healing. I hope I got my words correct, but then yeah, that's what I thought of it.
Dion, I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, what I meant was, what I'll try to rephrase, is that the last liners, I'll read it out. It's the
Yeah.
caring from breakdown to cure.
Yeah.
So breakdown resembles getting wounded, getting cut on your skin, right? So only when you have broken down to a point, only when something has happened, only then you will, lead to the medicine. Only then you will lead to the cure. Only then the healing of that relationship will start.
Well,
So
who's
it's like,
breaking down and who is curing whom? Where is father
yeah.
and where is
So
son in
exactly,
this?
exactly. So when the father and the son, like the words do not speak to another, but yelled in the middle of a storm that frees the restraint. So only when the storm has come, and only then the yelling of the "I love you, Father" comes out, because
Okay, that much we get. Only in the storm that you become uninhibited enough to say, I love you, Father. But take us to the next line. So up to now, it's the son who's saying, I love you, Father, in a storm and letting his hair down and speaking one to the other, because normally father and son don't speak so easily to each other. But then it's the caring from breakdown to cure. Who is breaking down and who is curing whom?
May
So I
I?
think the fourth para talks about the wounds are private, and you shall not see the bleeding of my heart. So actually, Dion, what you're talking about actually already exists. And the child saying, I love you, Father, is the cure for that sense of alienation, if you wish, that the father feels that has happened. And I'm a father of a son. And I can understand this, the difference being in our case, we talk to each other a lot. So it's a bit different, but I know a lot of fathers are stoic and will not share their inner feelings or express the alienation that's emerging. And that hurts them in the end. Their strength becomes their weakness.
Because the fathers are, the poem says, are as involved in bringing up the son, but because they can't emotionally express themselves to their children, their sons, even the sons kind of move away and form a hard fortress around themselves. So only when that fortress is breached, when calamity strikes in any way, do they suddenly realize that it was the father who was as important as the mother, and the healing process starts for both of them, for the son and for the father.
I have another take to this. I think it is an internal healing which is going to happen. But for that to happen, first there is that dam of previous memories, previous associations where expression hasn't happened. So for any therapy to happen, first of all, you have the dam has to flow out. It's almost like, when someone dies and if people don't cry, you make sure that the person cries so that then the healing starts, because until then there is no acceptance of what is happening. So it is like an internal construct where there is a dam which is there, which needs to be broken before the person themselves can start healing themselves. And by doing that, in parallel, will heal the next male member.
Something about this line in the second last paragraph. Fortunate indeed are fathers of daughters. I'm still my son's father. I've been sort of reading that and trying to see what he's trying to say in that. Perhaps fathers talk more to girls.
They are closer to girls. There's a more a give and take between a father and a daughter.
Now,
I think
why
the
is
father
that?
shows.
Now, why is that? Because of the father or because of the daughter?
I think it's because
maybe
the protective feeling that the father has for the girl child, that he needs to protect her, that they become closer than he does with his son, whom he expects that he should grow up to be one of those strong boys, fight it out, do it everything on your own. And the son actually needs the father just as much.
No, but it says I'm still my son's father. It's not go you on your own. Fortunate indeed are fathers of daughters. I'm still my son's father. So he hasn't sort of, said you're on your own. I'm still your father. I don't know what it means. I've just been reading it.
Maybe it means also that the daughters are probably more expressive than sons are with the fathers, and the fathers find it easier to connect on the emotional level with the daughter because of the expression level, which is at a higher octave than it is with sons. And the sense of duty of being an example, etc., is not as much with the daughter as it is with the son, because it's maybe that's the fortunate thing in that they get more expressive children when it comes to daughters.
Okay, Amrita, let Anita Sopti please come in. Unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, done it. Okay. What I think is that when a father has a child, he has his own nuclear family. Okay. But when the son gets married, then he has his own nuclear family for which he is devoted to. So, although the father knows his son loves him, but does not say it aloud because he's so much involved with his children and his family, his wife, his children. But when it comes to the father being sick or getting very old and needing help, he's there for him at all times. So it's the natural progression of nuclear families or families taking care of themselves as a progression, and the father being alienated to a certain extent because the son now has his own family, but he knows his son loves him, but there's no expression there. There's no expression of love there because the expression is going downwards towards his wife and his family. You get what I mean?
Exactly.
Anita, okay. Raj, come in, please.
I said exactly. She got it exactly right.
Paraphrase again for us then, please.
I said that Anita, right now, she got it exactly right.
Yeah, I think she got 3/4 of it right, but she still didn't crack for me. I'm not satisfied with the punchline. It's the caring from breakdown to cure.
Yeah, from breakdown to cure means when the father when suddenly he realizes that when he's going to get old, his children are going to be the same. He suddenly realizes what his father is going through, and then anything, any ailment or any negative thing happening to his father, he goes back and helps him.
So this is the son. This is the son. This is the son caring for the father. This is what I was trying to clarify. Who is caring for whom in that last line?
It comes as a natural progression. Natural progression.
That's right.
So you're saying
it says it's the I love you, Father. So it is coming from the son.
yes. Yes. That much we know. So it's now the ball is with the son. And he yells that in the middle of a storm when he is freed from social constraints or anybody listening and so on.
Because
and then
his own children, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but then when he is freed of his own children having been freed, then he starts thinking of his father. You understand? That's the storm.
Yeah.
The storm is when he's freed from his nuclear, whatever he needs to do for his
Responsibilities, etc.
Yeah, duties.
No.
That's it. Thank you.
How can anybody be freed from those duties? I mean, that was a constant. Your nuclear family is not going to suddenly change.
No, it's not being freed totally. It's that now the son's son is also going to be in his own nuclear family.
Correct.
So he's going to feel a little alienated. The first son is going to feel a little alienated, and he'll go towards his father.
Well, I think the second last paragraph has the thing, right? Where it says, there is a distinction which we've talked about. Fortunate indeed are fathers of daughters. They don't feel the sense of alienation that the fathers of sons feel. That's, I think, the main point here, which is provider.
We get that point. We get that point, Sanjeev. That point is easy.
I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
Till he gets himself a wife. Do you know that saying? A son is a son till he gets himself a wife. A daughter is a daughter
forever,
all her life.
All life.
Yeah. So this
that's what it means.
Stuff is a fraud.
See, this part about difference between son and daughter, we get that. That's not the problem in this poem. That's an easy part of the poem. We understand that. Explain to me in simple words what the last line means. Paraphrase it in plain, simple English with lots of words. Somebody do that.
Can Raj please... Mr. Harpals is most mystified with this last line. We need your explanation, sir.
Yeah.
I was just waiting till
we're exhausted. We are exhausted now.
Okay,
go ahead.
So here
beautifully
we go.
written, Raj, and I'm sure you've written this.
Yeah, this has been written by Raj for sure. Because
your emotion-filled voice.
I can see his emotions. Yes.
Thank you.
Has led us to this conclusion.
I'll get to the last line right away, and the meaning of the last line is when I suffered from a breakdown,
correct,
and went through a fairly lengthy cure process, all the time my son stood by me. My son and daughter-in-law stood by me. So what I am saying in effect is that love is not necessarily expressed by saying I love you, okay? Just like daughters do, maybe more often than sons do, I don't know. But it's expressed by being there. Even though the language of everyday interaction often is, Dad, don't do this, you're being stupid, I mean, sort of things like that, which so for instance, he he would say, see, I have no problem hurting your feelings because I don't think you have any. Okay, so he would say
Sons
things like,
get away with murder.
so, but when he is needed, he's there. Okay, that's what the last.
Exactly.
Okay, so you see, this is what I suspected, but it was not textually obvious from the poem that somebody has a nervous breakdown and the other person takes him through from breakdown to cure. And I was not sure if this was the father having the breakdown or the son. And this was the point which we needed to. Yeah, it's the father's own breakdown and it's the son's caring in that last line and in that last phase between father and son. Okay, well, Raj, I hope you're recovered now and you're making us, you're taking us through a difficult part of your own life, but you've converted it into a poem. And I hope that has helped you and it has helped us to look at something of what it is to be a father. We've come now to exactly 2 hours, and I'll let the mics remain open for a few minutes between us to say hello and goodbye. But I think we've done all the poems, and it's been a lovely long evening of poetry, and I thank you all. The discussion was pretty good, and we cracked most of the poems, so it was a very nice evening. But please stay and say a few words to each other between you before you all go away, because this is a once in a month event and maybe we can talk to each other. I'm talking too much myself, so I won't start.
Thank you very much, everybody, and sorry for being late.
But you made up for it with your poem, Raj. Your being late doesn't matter now once we've heard
And
your
the reason I got to writing that poem was seeing all you mothers post on the, post on the thread saying, talking about all mothers being, everything and so forth. So it just bugged me. And when I get bugged, I write.
So Raj, is this a poem you wrote recently? This is a very recently written poem.
Just this week, actually. So
wow.
You see, as I said, we mothers think we are very exalted. So
no, but we already heard a woman, the Mr. Harbans extolling all the virtues of women, mothers, and also he's the one who started it off, and you ended it off very well, Raj. Hurrah to all our men! Yes. Come on, do you mind? You need to say hooray! Rahul.
Thank you so much, everybody. I hope our guests will return next month.
Thank you, Kumkum, for adding me. I loved every minute.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely evening. Enjoyed it quite thoroughly.
No,
and I hope our guests will submit poems too. We would love to hear them. It's lovely. Thank you so much.
Chitra and Kavita and Sunita. Chitra, Kavita, and Sunita, you're the 3 new guests still on the panel right now.
Chitra is my classmate.
I really wanted to join the first time I heard about it, but
don't forget me.
Where? Who?
All the
Anita is also new.
Oh, where's Anita? She's still here?
Yeah,
she's new. I just spoke to you. I gave you all this.
No, I couldn't see you in. No, Anita, I didn't see you. I thought of you as an old timer already. Of course, Anita.
Anyway,
Anita, Kavita, Sunita.
That was not a good cover-up, Harbans.
No. She's an old friend of mine. It's like I have known her all my life.
I have been to your poetry circle in Paris itself.
Absolutely. And to my house and so on. But
I have to say one thing. When we started the poetry circle, I repeated every time I get a chance to Harbans that we have to have one reading in Paris where we all get together after COVID and all that. That'll be so fun.
Lovely.
I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion. Can we rename this as the poetry ellipse?
As the
Ellipse.
Poetry ellipse.
meaning?
Not a circle, it's ellipse.
Not a circle, but an eclipse, an ellipse.
Ellipse.
An eccentric circle. Okay. No. But I want to say a warm welcome to our new guests. I'll start again. Chitra, Anita, Sunita.
Chitra is my classmate.
Thank you. I love it.
And please
Also, happy Diwali to all of you.
yes.
Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali indeed.
Have a wonderful new year, new Hindu year ahead.
Yes.
Lovely.
Vivek, you were saying something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the moment any of our guest members today decides to submit a poem and read a poem, they automatically become members. There are no more guests. Okay? We would love to have you as members.
Right. Exactly.
Thank you so much.
No.
So submitting a poem means you either wrote a poem or you picked a poem which you liked.
Right. You don't have to write. I'm
You
never going to write.
And interpret it.
Never say never,
You
Kumkum.
can. If you like to, you can. If you want to read someone else's, that's also fine.
That's fine. So never say
But it must
never.
come from a place where you get involved with the poem.
Yeah.
That's all.
Got it.
You have to interpret it.
Yeah, I love this whole thing, and I'm so happy to have joined it.
Me too.
Very nice.
Great.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Hello, guys.
Okay, then,
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kumkum. Bye.
See you.
Good night to everybody. Good night.
night.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's fun. That's fun.